What was the question?
We filming? Oh, we're live.
Oh, we live.
The question is, as a beginner, how do you go into a round of sparring where you know the other person's just going to beat you up? Meaning they're better than you, they're higher belt than you, you know you can't win, and then you get psyched out and then you do worse than you would if, even against the same person, if you weren't so freaked out. Hot takes, give them.
So, man, there's a lot of ways to approach this question. One, in my opinion, is you think about progress-wise and racking up sweet XP so your jiu-jitsu gets better, is when you roll with a bunch of higher level people, there's no false positives. What do I mean by that? Is like if you're doing something and you have your favorite sweep and you get that specific sweep to work on these people that are higher level than you, that's definitely going to work on somebody your level. So you're like a blue belt rolling with a bunch of like purple and brown belts. You get to the point where you can sweep those guys. You can, if you go to a tournament, you have that confidence that you can sweep that other blue belt because you're doing this to blue and purple and brown guys all the time.
Yeah.
Purple and brown belt guys all the time. So just that, your progress is going to be better because you're not going to get false positives where you're doing something, the other person doesn't know what's happening, or maybe their balance is not there, or the understanding of the moves not of the guard, or the passing is not there. So you get into passes because they don't have the knowledge. So if you have somebody higher level, they know what you're doing. So if you make it work against them, it's like you're sharp. Mm-hmm. So when you go back to compete or roll with people at your same skill level, it's like, oh man, this is easy now.
Yeah, I remember when I was a white belt, there was this brown belt who was notorious for just having no mercy. Meaning he wouldn't injure people, so he wasn't putting people out of training, but he just would tap a white belt as many times as he could tap a white belt. And as a white belt, that sucks. Because I remember distinctly there was a round where I went with him, and he would go, smash pass, side control, Kimura. He did that like Kimura. He did like 5 Kimuras. And then he's like, hey man, you're getting Kimura because you turn on your side too much. It's like, oh, okay. So then the next time he went to Kimura me, I turned back down and then Kimura the other side. And did that like 5 times. And then he's like, you're turning too far to try to avoid the first one, that's why I'm getting the second one. Okay. And so then I tried to not, and then he choked me. So at the end of the night, I was like, man, I tapped like 40 times that round. I shot smash. And I was like, man, it was a rough night. And then the next time I trained with like a blue belt, I tried to do the same thing. They couldn't do any Kimuras. Because I was like I was so used to this level of this guy just doing a much better than this blue belt that it made me ready for when someone close to my level was trying it. And so that, looking at just that one night, I was like, man, that night sucked. I tapped a bunch. But the guy gave me feedback. He didn't injure me. He hurt my ego, I guess, which is an okay thing to get hurt. And then it gave me an experience that I took into the future that really helped me. So you have to take a longer term view of some of these things. If you think the person's not really have to be a dick, they're trying to help you out, but they're trying to help you by beating it out of you.
And then the other thing that comes to mind is one of the unspoken benefits of jiu-jitsu is you learn to tame your fight or flight response, right? Mm-hmm. So then if you're freaking yourself out because you're gonna have hard sparring rounds, part of it is just your body knowing it's like, oh man, this, we're gonna get pushed to a limit here.
We've got millions of years of evolution telling me when a bunch of guys attack me, I should freak out.
Yeah. Yeah, so you have to tame that. You have to put yourself in those positions where you don't freak out anymore. Mm-hmm. And then one of the benefits of that is that one, your training is going to be better. Two, if you're a competitor, I don't care how long you compete, how long you do jiu-jitsu, you always get a little bit of butterflies before you go on there, actually step out of the mat and compete. But the more you do it, the less stress response you get in your system. That fight or flight is tame. And then if you're out on the street and then a drunk guy approaches you, or you get in an argument with somebody with a parking spot or anything, not be super specific, you're like, all right, I see you're angry, you're threatening to kick my ass, I'm not worried at all, I'm not escalating, but in the back of my head I'm running scenarios where if this guy rushes me, he's getting double leg immediately, and then I'm going to put him in an armbar. Mm-hmm. And then you can stay calm and not escalate and not make the situation worse.
Yeah. So there's a part of it, you said, there's just you're going to feel it. As a white belt, you're going to feel a feeling of oh God, I'm about to get the shit beat out of me. And that's natural. You just have to keep training through it. And often you just talk to the person afterwards, find out how, if you can become friends with the person, that goes away. Like, oh, this guy seems scary because he's better than me, but like, he's not here to, kill me. He's here to just have a hard training round, and that's different than getting murdered. So I think it will sort itself out in time, and there'll always be a little bit when you're up against somebody who's, a tough match.
And then also is the more you do it, the more you do hard training rounds. I don't think the war is easier. It never gets easier if like you're going up to like those hard like sparring round level, but you get accustomed to it and you get better at functioning at a higher like heart rate. Because I think that's one of the most jarring things is like guys that never spar hard, when they get into like a really hard sparring round, and then like their heart rate gets into like the 160, 170 area, 180, and then they can't think, they're cramping up, and like they're like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing, and they start freaking out and like gasping for air. That's a problem. But the more you do hard rounds, and especially as you get better, you become more efficient, so your heart rate doesn't get jacked up so easily. And two is that you learn how to manage yourself, and it's like, okay, like I just did like a giant scramble, let me take a break, breathe a little bit, find a position where I can breathe, then I can push again. And then you get better at managing your heart rate, and then you also get better at functioning at a higher rate range.
Hope that helps.